All right. Well, in total, I think that was very heavily skewed in your favor,
Uh,
if I'm remembering that
yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah. I won to. I guess did every match went to game three.
Yes.
Um, and it was two wins, one loss for me in terms of matches.
Yep.
The games I won, I don't know. The games I lost, I would agree with you. The games I lost felt closer than the games I won, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. Completely agreed. I think I was behind pretty much the entire time,
Yeah.
and like I needed a single swing turn to kind of like I needed to get lucky. Essentially, is what it kind of boiled down to. I think the Muxus whiff was
Yeah.
the important part of the last match specifically.
Yeah. The Muxa Swift, and then the bad attack with the I forgot about the Caracas bouncing Leovold. And then I used the Tarfire, and then I died to Plague Engineer. So it's like compounding errors from that one turn really got me.
Yeah, I think overall, I had a lot of compounding errors earlier on, but I think mine were less obvious because they involved like sequencing
Mm-hmm.
in a specific pattern versus yours. I think were decisions being made.
Yeah,
I think I made less decisions than you did, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can buy that. Yeah.
I think mine were mostly based on like mana sequencing throughout the early turns of the game, turning into a colossal late game slog. That's
Right.
kind of what it boiled down to. But overall, I think did this help? Like, kind of have you understand like how?
I think it helped me with the sideboarding. I'm glad we got to see Chandra in action twice, and I'm pretty happy with it. I think that's a solid tech piece for this matchup because it's a non-creature spell, which is a big deal. So it doesn't get handled with the Wraths and the Engineers. It provides an Engineer and Priest, and the mana was actually more relevant than anything else, where just 2 extra red mana every turn let me do some pretty crazy things.
Yeah, you're able to leverage the mana a lot more effectively than I expected. So that one game where I let the Chandra live, I think turned out I ended up losing because of the mana advantage throughout like 3 or 4 turns.
Right.
So definitely something to keep in mind. I think I will say that I think Felidar Retreat is basically not a card at all in this matchup because the swinging turns where it matters, like we're in a Muxus territory or like ringleader into multiple scary threats territory instead of like incremental advantage. And I think even if it was Court of Grace, I don't think it would have mattered either way.
Yeah, and the white mana could matter on Court of Grace.
Yeah, for sure. That probably matter a lot more anyway.
I think as far as my sideboarding, I think Relic kind of underperformed.
It underperformed because I was cognizant of it. I think. Let me explain. I think something that I think is not that obvious to a lot of people that would watch this video later on is that I don't think you I'm gonna be vulgar here for a second, but I don't think you give 2 shits about Oko or Uro. I think you can go into a late game where you incrementally kill them over. So I would say Oko performed a lot this last match specifically, but I think not because of Oko, but because I need 2 cards to win the game. And that is a way to contain Muxus in some fashion, in some cases literally with Containment Priest or with like Thoughtseize on a key turn, or elking your Vial in 6 before you have the mana for Oko. It's something like that, you know what I mean? Either that or I need Wrath into Plague Engineer in order to win the game.
Right.
I think Uro is scary. I think they're both scary, obviously, but I think if you're spending a turn, a mana to cast a relic and passing, like I am fist pumping heavily because my main game plans have nothing to do with how I win the game. It's how I respond to you and getting to those cards that actually matter.
Right.
So like I think game 1, like in a hypothetical world where you're playing a main deck relic, I think game 1 it matters a lot.
Yeah, I think that's really true. The main deck Caracas was really, really good.
Yes. Yes.
And I think honestly, it's possible that a second Caracas is probably better than Relic.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of I think in general people see Snow and see it's like graveyard based Uro as like the main thing to worry about, and then board in like all the graveyard hate. And I think most of the time it's always going to be incorrect because what Snow does is Uro is like an incremental way to gain advantage, and like it'll win the game eventually. But if you're playing a polarizing matchup like Goblins, for example, the cards that matter against goblins are not related to the graveyard at all, and therefore I don't think you have to worry about them at all. Like I think if I take like 4 mana to cast an Uro, you can count what my remaining mana represents, plan out your turns following that subsequently. Take 6 damage a few times, but like you have such a way to surpass the whole Uro subgame that I think you can overall like not worry about Relic too much. I think I'd rather have all of your creatures before I would have Relic, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. So if I just like don't board in Relic at all, like I kind of want one to be able to nuke the Uros.
Probably via, yeah. It like depends on what you're boarding out, I guess.
Right. So that puts me down to and then the third blast I'm still like unclear on. Of like Blast was good for sure.
Blast is good for the same reason I think though that like Relic is.
Right. I guess. Well, I mean, Blast. It is.
So it answers Oko.
Yeah. It's really good against Oko and delaying Uro, and Oko sometimes matters, but sometimes doesn't. Right.
Yeah.
Oko mostly will matter when I'm trying to. I just want to push damage on you, and I don't want to waste my attack steps on Oko. Right. Or if I'm trying to protect my vials. So
like, I'm not familiar enough with like the non-blue math in terms of like determining sideboard slots. So to me, it makes sense to have 2 to 3. I mean, that's obviously what you're deciding between, but I think I would err on the side of 3 if I'm a non-blue deck and I need the blast like to interact with my opponent, like against like Servantell, obviously. But here, again, I don't know the math of like how often you're going to draw blast, but yeah, it's really hard to say.
Yeah, so I think in the future what I'll do is I'll board in all the blasts. I got the Tarfire, the Chandra, and the Relic, just 1 Relic, and then I'm boarding out the Trashmaster, 1 Skirk, sometimes 2, the Jump Home. I think shaving an Expert is fine. Expert is just not that good most of the time, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree.
And then 1 War Marshal just to hedge against Engineer, and then 1 Wasteland. And that's 6 for 6. And then my Goblin count is still 29 because I'm boarding a Tarfire. And 29, before I was going down to 27, and 27 is like really nasty and probably contributed to those bad Muxus flips.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. That's really satisfying for me because I feel like having a finally being like, okay, this is what I want to do I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, great. Thank you for doing this little shindig with Min Max. And
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping me out.
Tell everyone, absolutely. Tell everyone where they can find you, by the way.
Oh yeah. You can find me at twitch.tv/GoblinLucky1. Also at GoblinLucky1 on Twitter. I have a Patreon where I do some exclusive content. Mostly now I do articles and sideboard guides is what the Patreon's really for. And there are some videos kind of similar to this one actually that I previously had paywalled that I'm going to start slowly kind of releasing over time because I'm not producing them anymore. But I've got some matches with Newton Hang on Elves. I've got Callum Smith, White Faces on Hogak, and I think the Hogak video I did with him is one of like the best videos I've ever made.
Yeah, that was actually really cool. I've seen it a few times though.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that stuff will be coming out. And I think I got a YouTube channel where I upload my YouTube VODs or my Twitch VODs as well. So if you ever miss a stream, you can check that out.
Awesome. And all of the links for finding Eli will be in the description. So thanks everyone so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.